That was Mr. Kenneth Hague. Now, my last guest has been described as the poet laureate of the rock movement, and in fact, he's accepted with a good deal of reverence right across the board, from the plain old pop right through rock and roll to jazz. He has held his popularity with his fans through 17 years of changing tastes, and last year, he managed to enrage a good number of rather righteous people when he encouraged them to sing about their own particular ding-a-ling. He is, of course, Mr. Chuck Berry.
When I was a little bitty boy, my grandmother bought me a cute little toy. Silver bells hanging on.
Hello. It broke the ice, eh?
It broke the ice.
Yeah.
You nearly broke my hand with your handshake. Show us how it works, that.
Well, you know, and it's not that I'm strong, it's just you may be
Familiar with it.
Yeah, but that's friendship, love, and
everything.
yeah.
Is it harmony and understanding?
Oh, yes, yes.
Good.
And no gateway?
No aggro.
Right.
Right. Now let's talk about your ding-a-ling, if we may.
Are you ready for that?
Talk about it, which is that a lot of people here were offended by it and made their offence vocal. Were other people in other countries equally offended?
I don't think so. Because it's a fourth grade number. As a matter of fact, I tried to exploit that in the song.
Did you say fourth grade?
A fourth grade ditty. Tune.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just, you know, you can, you know, understand it as you like. And, of course, if you're ready for your own understanding, then take it. You know.
How did the American nation receive it?
Wildly. It was #1 there, too.
So it swept the board in the Western world?
Pretty much.
How do you account, or if you do account, how do you account for the width of your appeal in the rock scene? You go right across the board, as I was explaining before you arrived on the set. How do you account for that?
I think people listen to what they wish to listen to, and no one ever becomes, no one ever makes themselves, causes themselves to be in demand. I think they can help, but it's the people that cause them to be in demand or be popular, you know, strictly the public. And I actually can't answer your question, but you asked my opinion of it, and that's it. I just think that people want to see something that I have or had, or they think I have, or something in their view, because...
You're saying that then, therefore, you don't make a conscious effort to be popular along across the line?
Oh, yes. It's my every effort to do the best I can. And what I think might reach them, that's the very thing I want to put down.
Hmm. Does it offend you when you hear other people making big successes out of music which was originally yours?
Oh, not at all. As a matter of fact, that's a compliment for anyone to do a song, you know, that I've done. I think it's a compliment. Like, many people play the great musicians, you know, Beethoven, Bach, and all, because they like their music. And that's a treat to them. And so the groups now that do my music is a treat to me.
What about money? Have you made a lot of money in your life?
Well, from what point do we look at? From you know, I mean, or are we looking at from 100 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds?
More than that. Go on, keep going.
Well, now I know what you're looking at. You just can tell me.
By a lot of money, I mean, are you now in a position where you could stop work tonight and live very comfortably for the rest of your life?
I could have stopped work 10 years ago because my outlook on life requires very little. For the last 8 years now, I'll say, because since the 10 years have passed, my living standard has raised a little bit. But I could have stopped 10 years ago because I had enough to live like I live on. But since I got into this video and stuff, it's expensive. And
how do you live then? Do you live what kind of a house do you live?
Moderately, dangerously, adventurously. I've been through so many changes. The norm now is quite boring in most capacities.
And yet money still means things to you, doesn't it?
Money means a living, because you cannot buy $1,000 worth of video equipment and make $1,000 a year.
I'm interested, for instance, to know why you wanted to be paid in cash tonight before you appeared on the program.
Okay, I'll tell you. I once, not only once, but this particular gig I played, and not only did I not get paid, but I won't say where this was. It was New Year's night, by the way, but the date was up at 12 o'clock because it was for that day. And I was told to play until 2 because the club stayed open till 2. And I was told to play till 2 in the mouth of a 32, looking down the barrel of a 32. Now, this happened to 2 or 3 artists. This has happened, and of course, it's been about 6 times I really haven't got paid. And one of them has been here in England. Now, this has nothing to do with England, but since it's so close, there's always some misunderstanding that other artists do such and such, so why not you? Well, if it's on the contract to do a certain thing, I usually like to follow it. And I was following it, you see, and I didn't get paid.
And that's made you careful and wary?
More aware.
Or wary?
Wary?
No, more wary. W-A-R-Y.
You're saying that. I'm saying aware.
How did you relish your experiences in prison, or your experience in prison?
When was I in prison?
Weren't you shafted away a little bit?
Now, are you asking me or telling me? Your first question was, you almost told me. Now you're asking me. Which one must I answer?
The first one. How were your prison
I
experience?
cannot answer the first one, unfortunately, for you. I mean, for the question, you know. The last one I probably could. You remember it? Why don't we go on to the next one?
No. We're so deeply into that now that I must excavate a little more about that.
Okay.
I love silences, so don't bother about the
No.
silences.
I want you to rephrase the question.
You want me to rephrase it?
I have to. You have to for me to answer.
Did your experience in prison affect you in any way?
I can't answer it because I had no experience in prison. That's what I meant by I cannot.
You mean you didn't spend even one night in prison?
Oh, I've spent many nights in prison.
And it had no effect upon you?
Well, one night is, you know, you can hardly. I think what you're speaking of. Did it change my life? One night, no.
No, I wasn't suggesting that one night would change your life, but did it give you any new insights into the way people live, or the people round about you had any influence upon you?
You're darn right. There's many jailers as I saw in there. Yeah, it gave me an insight on how prisons were and so forth. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I do mean that, partly. I mean, were there rough houses?
Well, I only saw the inside of 3 different jails. So, and each of them, not more than 2 weeks of compilation. So I could hardly give a reputable opinion about, you know, prisons or jails.
Well, you're in a better position to give an opinion than I am about it. I mean, I haven't spent, thank God yet, any nights in, but I would have an opinion if I came.
Well, you need the experience because there's something lacking. It is something that not you, but it's something that a person would like. You need. It didn't have to be jail, but you have to have the inhibitants of freedom before you can enjoy it. If you never have witnessed pain, you would never know what happiness is. I should say misery. If you haven't undergone any misery, how could you? Mm-hmm. So if you haven't been captivated, how could you? You couldn't enjoy freedom as well as.
Or know what it means fully, in fact.
Because you had no the other side. Oh. See, you've never been black, so you have no idea what it means to be white. It's the same thing.
But isn't the boot also on the other foot as well?
Sure.
I mean, we neither of us fully understand what motivates each other, do we?
Well, yes, because then there's a human nature thing between us that is correlating, you know, and our color doesn't come into it. It doesn't alter it any.
Now, let's switch tracks a little to end with, which is that you're obviously a prominent gentleman and an important figure in your industry and in your profession. Has anybody ever asked you to do anything
yes. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, has anybody ever offered you a professional job in music, for instance, like in a university, asked you to teach or to put your knowledge to some other kind of use? Do you know what I mean by that? I mean, is there a chair of rock and roll in any university yet?
Let me explain what I think. Let me explain this. I was called to the University of California in Berkeley to speak for an hour, or rather to answer questions, speak, whatever. And you point to your contestants and they ask you a question. And I found it very intriguing. I've hosted a couple of TV shows. I talk between my things away from music you're asking about. I talk between my music much more now than I did. And that's about it, you know, professionally.
But will you go on singing until you drop, or will you retire gracefully into the hills?
I don't know. It doesn't enter my mind of when or if I should stop or slow down. But I do pay particular attention to my health.
You do?
Yes, because I took a beauty nap this afternoon after flying all night, just because I was tired. And I eat as I please, when I please. In other words, you know, I don't try and keep a diet or a schedule, time to eat, you know. And I've done pretty well for
a man of...
Yeah, I was born in 1950, and you can figure out from there.
I have to say to you finally, thank you for being a pleasure to talk to. We've actually run out of time, but before we go, let's take a look at Chuck Berry in action. It's a scene from a film about the rock and roll giants as we remember them, from me and Mr. Berry Night Night, but meantime, let the good times roll.
We gotta go now. Oh, time just won't permit us to play no